Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week you're going to see me doing a bit of watercolor landscape painting. This is in the background. It's something to watch, but I'm not going to be talking specifically about this painting in this video. I'm going to be talking about landscape painting in a more general way. So this video is something to watch in the background. Different artists have given different advice to people about how to start painting landscapes, or painting anything really. I'm going to talk about one particular artist, Claude Monet, and his advice to new artists. Claude Monet, of course, famous for Impressionism and mostly landscape painting. He did do other things, but it was a lot of landscape painting. So he said, when you go out to paint, you should say he did go outside to paint. He didn't use photographic references. Apart from anything else, there weren't that many photographic references available in those days. But anyway, he went outdoors to paint. So when you go out to paint, try to forget what objects you have before you. A tree, a house, a field, or whatever. Merely think, here's a little square of blue. Here's an oblong of pink, a smear of yellow, and paint that. See, especially when you're outdoors painting, you have a three-dimensional landscape in front of you, but you have to represent that on a flat two-dimensional canvas or a piece of paper. So somehow you've got to make that jump between the third dimension and two dimensions. And that's one of the things that makes it tricky for a lot of people. Of course, if you're using a photographic reference, that doesn't come into it, but you still have this problem of detail. So much detail. Your eyes and the camera can see vast amounts of detail. What do you do with all of that? Claude Monet's advice kind of was, you've got to simplify things. And by that I mean you've got to try and see basic shapes, simplified shapes, squares, circles, oblongs, whatever it is, and paint those. You can then go in and add details later. But initially, with your initial composition, you're just trying to get those basic shapes onto the canvas or the piece of paper. So that's one way of approaching painting landscapes. It leads to a naturalistic interpretation. So in other words, naturalism is just painting what you see. And that's it. And that's what Claude Monet did, and that's what he's advising people to do. If you've watched any of my videos before, you'll know that I am not a fan of naturalism. To me, it is a very boring way of painting. I don't mean that the final paintings are necessarily boring. I just find it, as a process, as a painting process, I find it very boring to actually be the artist and paint in that way. The final results can be very beautiful. It's just the painting process doesn't work for me, that sort of approach. I prefer a thing called synthetism, which, again, you're looking at the shapes and you're trying to record those shapes as accurately as you can. You're maybe taking some artistic license. And with synthetism, you're also trying to incorporate something of what the landscape, what it means to you. How do you feel about it? And that's tricky as well to do that, but it's a different emphasis. It's not just about recording the shapes. It's about, what overall, how do you feel about this landscape? Synthetism also encourages you to paint from imagination and memory, which is what I do. I don't go outside very much to paint. I don't use photographic references. I use imagination and memory mostly. And again, that gets you away from just reproducing details and thinking about the landscape, what it means to you. Memories are important to us. They connect us to the world. Without memories, you'd just be living each day as a blank piece of paper and discovering everything from new. So memories mean something, and you're trying to tap into that. So I guess, what am I trying to say? There is more than one way to paint. There are different approaches. There isn't a right way and a wrong way. You've got to find something that works for you. For me, that was Synthetism. Naturalism doesn't work for me. I find it a boring approach to making art. I want to think about, what does this landscape actually mean to me, and try and incorporate something of that into the final painting. Anyway, if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching and listening. Hopefully see you again in next week's video.